Okay, value chain? Yeah. It's all about how you manage your delivery from input to output. Managing the internal process, or we say, in other words, throughput. Now, you got to understand, from the time you buy your raw material from supplier, up until the time that you hand it over to your consumer, there has to be a value creation. What is this value creation? How do you do that? Utility value, psychological value, sociological value. If somebody goes and says, look here, this is the kind of pen that I'm using. I'm proud to use this one. If it is communicated without words, we say silently communicated. You want to show that you are using this kind of pens. If it is Parker or something, I don't know. This is a value creation. Sociological value creation. So how would you create this value using your thinking or utilizing your competitive advantage? Now this value, if there are so many stages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This value that you are creating at the point of time that you produce that will not be, may not be, the V that these people are going to get from you. It could be V, X or something like that. If you do not consider external and internal factors. You got my point?
This is in the presentation, is it? I mean, is this written down like this in the presentation that we've got?
PowerPoint?
Yeah.
No, this is my conceptualization.
Right.
Okay. The reason why I'm doing something like this, using something like that, this is, if you take the entire picture of the story that is presented in the chapter in a summary form, it'll be easy for you to relate.
So do you have this as a hard copy on a computer?
No, you don't have it.
Okay.
This is a conceptualization.
I'm sure, but the problem is that having conceptualization, we kind of need it to just be able to piece it all together because we've gone through it so fast that whilst I've got bits of it, obviously I'm going to want to refer back to it.
Sure.
Hence why I was
First
asking.
thing, what I would say is, take from area to area and draw a kind of picture. But if you have any question, please stop me anytime and ask. Right? Just simply putting it back to you, what I'm trying to tell you is, we are in operation. We have a corporation, we have our resources, tangible resources, intangible resources. These resources will give us a corporate capability for us to perform in terms of our businesses. And these capabilities will tell you, okay, what kind of competitive advantage that we need to maintain in doing our businesses. So this competitive advantage cannot be so many things in your organization. No. It could be the product, it could be the service, it could be the quality, it could be the quantity, it could be the time factor, convenience, I don't know, anything. So delivering that, in this process, this delivery of the value, what do our consumers want? They need value, am I right? So delivering this value throughout this, we need to understand how these factors might impinge to create and deliver the same value. Therefore, we are going to understand what are these forces, how they might impact our business performance. Guys, having said this one to you all, I would like to register one thing very clearly in your mind. That is, just because we learn all these factors, the whole thing will not affect one company the same way that is printed or discussed. It could be one or two factors might impact your organization. So it depends on the industry that we're talking about. One policy of the government could have a negative impact on one company or industry. At the same time, it could have a positive impact on a totally different industry. Okay? Jamie, any questions, Jamie? Okay. Let's move on. See guys, I want you to look at this one. See, environmental scanning is the monitoring and evaluation. How do you evaluate? What do you evaluate? You evaluate the amount of impact these factors will have on our corporate performance. That's what you need to assess. So you need to have a mechanism to collect information about the external environmental factors and their degree of impact that they could, have on our business performance, and disseminate this information right through the organization for everybody to know that they become very aware about it, for them to make their appropriate decisions at different levels. Okay. Guys, if you look at, these are the three key external environmental variables or factors that you can see in the chapter. Natural environment, the societal environment, task environment are the three key external environments that we're talking about here. Guys, just to give you a kind of raw example, guys, you can understand when somebody buys a pound of flour or other corn from a farmer, when it is converted and used as a bread, what is the cost factor that would create the value benefit? How the utility factor create the value here? How the physical appearance of the input creates value here? So that's what I'm talking about. So delivering this, there are so many people involved. What would your sales manager or your sales representative at the counter, if he does not know about the ingredients used or the amount of calories that might offer through the final product, they will definitely have challenges promoting this product. So I'm talking about just only one point here. Look at the other guys. They have their own responsibilities, creating value. Pointless having a high quality product over here if your people who are selling at the point where they meet the consumer, if they cannot explain the value, if they cannot present the value and the benefit, they will not win the market. So there's a value chain. In the chain, there are certain phases where different people are responsible for managing those phases, and they have to create value in order to deliver the final product. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at the natural environment. Physical resources. Land, water, other resources. You can go on and on and on. How they might create either challenge or threats or opportunities for some industries. Now guys, if you look at resources, like if somebody is into manufacturing bricks, what kind of problems they might have if the government is going to come out with a new law or any legal aspect to control the use of the water and the soil, whatever, that they specifically use to produce their products. Wildlife. How many people went against online and also physically complaining about using the natural animals' skin use to produce winter clothes by China?
Is that ethical?
It is unethical, I would say.
Yeah, no, obviously that, yeah, sorry. Obviously. the implication was that in saying that external is an external environmental variable, it's also, would you say, physical resources and unethical practices such as wildlife?
Climate. Look at some of the airlines, the producers of vehicles, how they have just let me over here, right? How they have taken into consideration of the use of these gases to produce a higher mileage and low emission level. If you compare it, between, if you go back 30 to 40 years back, the average American's requirement is just to have a comfortable ride, that's all. Now today, not only that, not the comfortability, but also the safety, mileage, environmental factors. I know, guys, since you all come from Europe, how Europe, compared to US, is concerned about environmental pollution. You'll have to have a special gadgets kind of thing, right? Installed in your vehicles, right? To control. Don't ask that question. It's not nice, right? Living in US.
No, but that's been standard for years. The catalyst converter have been in cars for years. It's more just the sort of.
That's why it's called Euro 5, Euro 6. It's not called a
Exactly.
No,
maybe
no, I agree. Europe's better. Believe me. That much is obvious.
You don't find that much here. It is not enforced compared to UK. It's not a good nation. Yes. Okay, let's move on. Look at the societal environment. The social system that influences long-term decisions. The social system that influences our long-term competitive advantage, maintenance or management. These societal environments are, or are the environment is, it consists of 4 key areas. First one is the economic forces. The second one is the technological forces, political, legal forces, and socio-cultural forces. We will be discussing about each of these areas in detail in slides to come, right? Let's look at the task environment. Groups that directly affect the corporation and are affected by the corporation. So you have vice versa behavior in this phenomenon. Look at the areas that they consider. Environment, local communities, suppliers, competitors, customers, creditors, unions, special interest groups, trade associations. Okay, let's move on. Industry analysis is an in-depth examination of key factors within a corporation's task environment. So what is the task environment? Remember, it is this. So industry analysis is all about, focusing on these factors, how they might, create either negative or positive impact to your organizational performance. Let's look at STEEP analysis. In the chapter they call it as monitoring trends in the societal and natural environments. Now, socio-cultural environment or the factor is one of the critical factors that really impinge on corporate performances. Now, the example that we can think of is, how the baby boomers. Now, according to the statistics, they say that about 70% of the total population in 2009 comprised of baby boomers in US. So guys, if they constitute a kind of very high proportion of from the total population, that might be another opportunity for one organization to look at, especially companies like industries like medical industry, or rather healthcare industry, and leisure industry. They could make so much of money. It's going to be a lucrative area for them to look at. It's a very lucrative segment from the total population. And guys, the other thing that I could share with you all is, last week I was reading, a week before, I was reading the Wall Street Journal. According to some investigation that they have done, there's this article that talks about how the Asian population in the United States is taking an upper hand in terms of the income and the quality lifestyle. Now, the comparative analysis say that, the comparative analysis that was presented says that if you compare an average American versus another Asian American, the Asian American income, average American's income, median income is about 65,000, whereas Asian median income is about 85,000, and they are leading a better, high quality lives. And that is the trend now, you can see. And they have extrapolated this is to increase by 25% in the future for the next 10 years, which is big, huge. Which is big. And the reason they're talking about, the cause for that is, they're talking about is the cultural values that they have inculcated within their families. Simplifying, they say, how they have been, transpired with the way that their parents went through, took the hardship in living in US, and going to good colleges, getting educated, and contributing to the labor force. So guys, it's going to be another segment if one industry is, technically focused on that part. See, technological advancements. There are industries, have different attitude towards research and development. The degree of research and development use in that industry, how technology is used to produce products, high quality products, how technology is used to minimize the cost factor and increase the efficiency level, so on and so on. So technology is also another area that really influences on the corporate performance, economic performance. Now guys, can somebody tell me an example how the economic factor in this environment could, influence the performance of the corporations? If GDP is, increasing in a country, the purchasing power of the consumer in that country is, increasing. As a result, they purchase more and more. Am I right? And the confidence level, investor confidence level, is also very high. Why? Because the GDP is the benchmark for one country to measure or assess the economy's performances. Now guys, if you look at certain parameters, especially after this slight recovery after this recession, you can see that GDP is increasing very slightly. Consumer purchase is also increasing dramatically. Confidence level is in a standstill there. People or consumers, investors' confidence level is, stagnated. And look at the house market. Once again, checking out, skyrocketing. It has started going up now. See, you can get a kind of feeling as to what kind of future that might have in this country, especially after this election. Consumers want to spend money and buy things, but they don't want to invest. There's a kind of suspicious level. Who would be the leader in this country? What would be the political structure after the election? Therefore, we need to hold our investments. Anybody wants to start up their own business, increase their business operations, they are holding because they need to wait until they finish this election. Ecological factors. We were talking about it, how UK, concerns about ecological factors when they produce certain things. Political and legal forces. Can somebody tell me how this political and legal environment could affect the performance of the corporation? Can I have a yes? How?
Taxation, for example.
Definitely. Taxation, if they increase the taxation. Interest rates for borrowing and savings, how that might affect any other
restrictions on carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide
exactly
emissions.
Legal or legal aspects of that. Yeah, very good. What else? Guys, look at the international relationship. If you is going to say it'll have sanctions on exporting oil of Iran, how that might affect the rest of the people who are depending on that for their production, transportation, so on and so forth. So international relation is also very critical when it comes to political and legal issues. Okay, let's move on. Trends in economic forces. Now we are going one by one. See, interest rates, home sales. Oh, that's where you took it from, right? That's where you took the example from. All right. Home sales, oil prices, emerging markets. Now guys, tell me, looking at the emerging markets, how these BRIC countries would cause a kind of a influence on our performance. How? Brazil, Russia, India, and China. They are the emerging economies. How these emerging economies might have an influence on our business performance.
Massively growing economies.
They can create an opportunity.
A lot of resources to a lot of people, a lot of workforce.
Exactly. Now, what is the negative side of that? If your business is, focused to the local market, probably when things are moved towards those areas, you might lose some business from the local market, unless you are also looking at going across the borders. So if you are a locally manufacturing, locally producing, locally supplying, locally catering business that you have, you might have problems because if you are taking resources, inputs locally to produce, convert, and sell it in the local market, you might have troubles with these people. They will buy cheap labor. They will buy more sophisticated technology from these areas. Skilled workers at a lower wage. That's going to have a challenge for us. All right? Eastern Europe. What Eastern Europe is doing for us? I was in Switzerland in June. I went for a conference there. I was having a lunch in a restaurant. It's a Thai restaurant. And I was speaking to this guy, the guy who was serving us, and I asked him, how do you feel? Are you happy with the job? No other options. I said, why? It's not the right time now. I said, for what? No jobs. You'll hang on to whatever that you have in your hand. I said, well, what's the problem? Because of the Eastern Europeans encroaching into Western European area, they have, challenged the labor market dynamics. So they work for less labor charges, the same number of hours or more than that. Like the way that we were talking about from China, India, that has become a challenge. So people who have their residence from Switzerland, they also go to different countries like Germany, France to work and come back. It is critical. Now look at the opportunity that you have. Countries like US, who are producing capital goods, when they grow, it's a time for us to sell products to them. It's a time for us to sell products to them. It's an opportunity for us. Oh, this is very clear here. Some important variables in the societal environment. Look at the economic factors. GDP trends, interest rates, money supply, inflation rates, unemployment levels, wage price controls, devaluation, revaluation. See guys, wages and price control. I was reading this Wall Street Journal today this morning, today's paper, and they're talking about how most of the organizations shifting their focus based on their human resource strategy from full-time workers to part-time workers to avoid healthcare expenses. Look at the trend, guys, now. Look at the trend. Really a fragmented business scenario that we operate in. Everything is, very short time, I would say. And even that connection, one that you have with the corporations as an employee, is not guaranteed for a long time. From the corporate leaders' point of view, what they try to do is, they maximize the opportunity that you have from any resources. It could be man, money, material, anything, to make their money put in the pockets. See guys, what are we looking at? If the future is going to be like that, no full-time jobs. And their market segment, HR segments, are too. It's peculiar, guys. And they are focusing on the retired people and the school leavers. They're not worried about the skill. If you look at the entire phenomenon of this country, the world, you can see there's a clear shift from quality to quantity or the cost. In this process, the consumer also, in the value chain, this guy is not worried about the quality factor. What he is worried about is how much he pays for the product. Money factor. Therefore, the person who's using the HR stock to produce that product, he's not worried about the skill level, he's worried about how much he pays for it. Did you get what I'm saying? Jamie, any questions?
No, I think that surely, sorry, not always people asking the questions, but surely
please.
You're cutting off, surely quality's got to play a part. Not to be rude, I'm not going to go out and buy a car if I know for a fact that it's not as safe as another car that is, $2,000, $3,000 US more expensive.
Jamie, you're right, Jamie.
I don't want to die.
What I'm saying is, Jamie, if you look at the entire market based on one industry, let's assume, we're talking about pay you fee would be 20%. We're talking about the majority.
So the majority of people, can I stick with the car example? Please, I promise I'll shut up after.
Yeah, sure.
I'm
No,
really
that's fine.
finding
That's
this difficult. So what you're saying is the majority of people, when they buy a car, walk in and go price before, for example, a father walks into a Chevrolet dealership. He sees on the one hand, small, very thin metal, you know, shoebox car, okay, which is renowned to be incredibly safe, okay. He then sees a more expensive, you know, £2,000-3,000 more expensive, you know, car that is, you know, it's had some technical faults. There have been some worries about the security, the bonnet, whatever you guys call it over here. The bonnet, you know, gives way too easily under car crashing. You really think, as a father with 2 kids, he is going to choose the one where the bonnet gives way?
See, Jamie, why would you want to do an analysis based on a hypothetical situation? Let's
This
go by
is
the
all
facts.
hypothetical situations.
No, these figures. How many quality cars that you have? I'm talking about the high-end cars. Let's talk about it. What are the names?
Chevrolet,
Okay.
Shelby, BMW, Mercedes, Ferrari. All right,
Okay.
let's not go too
Okay, let's look at this one. Now look at the other side.
far.
Okay, Jamie, look at the other side. Honda, Toyota,
Hyundai. I've got a Hyundai. It is safe as anything. But the point of the matter is this. My point is this. If you've got a BMW that is notoriously not as safe as a Honda, and you are a father with 2 kids, you are not going to buy the BMW.
Jamie,
Because eventually somebody's going to run into you.
Jamie, I buy your point, Jamie. What I'm trying to, my argument is that if you look at the total car industry or manufacture, number of manufacturers, say for example, all these guys contribute for 5,000 units a month, right? Let's say 100 units. Easy to calculate, right? Out of this, how many do you think would buy this as against this?
But that's not the question. We're talking about safety.
Yeah,
You said that
if you
it's...
don't have
I'm not talking about the safety.
You said talking about the cost, right? You
Cost
said
factor.
people look
Cost
at
and the
cost
quality.
over quality.
Cost and the
okay?
quality.
Quality translates in this as how well it holds together, right?
Yeah, it could be. That's one way to look at it. The other way is 0 defects.
Yes, no, but in that case, why are we having this argument? My argument is that you were talking about quality.
Actually, okay, let's go back to what I said. I want you to capitalize on what I said. I said there's a clear shift in this entire world, whether it's vehicles or transportation, any other commodity, right? There's a clear shift from quality to cost. Do you agree with me there?
Take a case another example. Okay,
Sorry?
don't go for safety and quality, go for IKEA. Instead of paying
No, fair enough.
$4,000
For some
for a
handmade
sofa.
crap, yeah. No, it's fair enough. I understand. That's fair enough. But what I'm saying is, I think is you surely can't make wild generalizations that everything is about cost, because quality has to come into it. Quality is what holds the chair together. Quality is why I can go like that on this desk and the whole thing won't give way.
Sure. What I'm trying to say is, if something is, established by the majority, we take that as the point to conclude something. That's what I say.
Okay.
You got my point?
Yeah.
That's the shift I'm talking about. I never said, everybody is shifting from what? No. There are people who want to hold on to that quality consciousness, no matter what. No matter what. Of course. See, that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. So I don't know if I make you further confused or my argument is, how you generalize certain things based on the majority, what the majority says. So if you look at the entire world, without going into specific areas, the overall picture that you can see is there's a clear shift from. Now look at this country. The total population is about 360 million. How many of us today use Chinese, low-cost products as against the people who were in late 70s, whose thinking was, compatibilities, luxury lives, quality product, high quality, long-lasting products, high utility. That's not the shit. That's not what we need today. Check. Open your backside of the collar and see. Made in where? You will see that. You will see that. That's what I'm trying to say, guys. Now, anymore, we cannot see the majorities, being very quality conscious. That's what I'm trying to prove. So, guys, that's another area. So the other area that we can go into technology, total government spending on technology for research and development. Total industry spending for research and development. Focus on technological efforts, patent protections. How US is fighting with what was a country? It's South Korea, right? Samsung and Apple, huge brands, to protect their own uniqueness, identity. Unique identity. See how much they spend money on that to legally safeguard the giant brands of X country or whatever by now. Patent protection, new products, new developments in technology transfer from lab to marketplace. Productivity improvements through automation. Internet availability, so on and so forth. Guys, if you just download this slide presentation, you will see this one very clearly. And I'll leave it in your hand. Let's look at the environmental scanning. Trends in technological process. Portable information devices and electronic networking. How many of us are using this? From huge cellular phone 15 years ago versus today. Internet, from the huge computer on the table to cellular phone today. And alternative energy resources or sources, precision farming system. What kind of technology that they use in US and especially developed countries. It could be Europe, North America, for their farming purposes, to identify the amount of soil, the chemical aspects, so on and yield, so on and so forth. Virtual personal assistants, genetically altered organisms, smart mobile robots. So these are some of the areas that you can see as trends in the technological forces area. Trends in political legal forces, enforcement of US antitrust. Now what is this antitrust law? It is the law related to the competition, either to encourage or discourage. Especially under this, you can see the patents are also fallen. Taxation and labor laws. How tax play a role in order to perform the corporate performance. Labor laws, government bureaucracy, World Trade Organization. What kind of organization this is? When did they start? How they encourage countries to take off the barricades and encourage the business between these countries. Guys, due to this World Trade Organization, how Cuba is prepared to get involved with this world trade now. They're almost there. They're almost there. They're almost there. Actually, there was this a discussion with the leader, I forget his name, what's his name? Castro. And he's ready to open their balance. And guys, the role is played by World Trade Organization. One cannot live without connecting with the rest of the world to live in this world, to get the maximum out of the world. So you have to. So they have already identified that. Trends in socio-cultural forces, demographics, how things change, especially we were talking about the baby boomers. What kind of percentage from the total population that they constitute. Increasing environmental awareness. People are getting increasing their awareness about the environmental factors. Growing health consciousness. You can see a clear shift from, I would say, in my loose language, from junk food to health conscious products. As as a result, you can see subways, taking the lead, so on and so forth. Yeah, expanding senior markets. Why? Because of the baby boomers. Once again, baby boomers are given or named in a different way. That is as a generation Y. Some say generation X also. Declining mass market. Now, no more mass marketing. It's high mass customization. Now, what it is, let me explain you that. We have one product to market 1, market 2, market 3. Mass marketing we are doing. We have two products, product 1, product 2 for market 1, market 2. We say focus marketing or we say segmented marketing. Then we have product 1, product 2, product 3 for market 1, 2, 3. This is induced by the technology. Now guys, you don't have to go walk into a store, Levi's store. You can go online, select your color, size, design, and they will ship it. So from mass marketing to mass customization that you can see. Okay? Changing pace and the location of life. You can see the amount of people who work in US in a certain pace compared to people who live in Europe and in Asia. And the location of life. Where would they select to live the rest of their life? How people migrate from one place to the other in search of comfortabilities or survival at least. Changing household composition. 10 family members to, or larger family, extended families to, single parent. Increasing the diversity of workforce and markets. Number of people from different communities work together in order to achieve something. So these are some of the changes or the trends that you can see in social cultural and cultural forces. Because if you do the environmental scanning, you can see on the table 4.2 in your slide, it's not clear here also. Current US generations. Generation World War II, silent generation that they say, born between 1932 and 1945, age 60 to 73, 32 million. And the rest of the generation that you can see how they constitute in the entire population in the US. See, the critical market is the generation Y, which is between these people were born after the World War II, after the baby boomers actually. This is another table that shows some important variables in international societal environment. It's economic factors, technological factors, political, legal, social, cultural. It is self-explanatory. You can just go take your time and go through that. Look at the last factor here on the social culture. Slavery. It's almost diminishing. You can see a diminishing aspect to this concept, slavery, physically. But in terms of the power, you can still see that is happening. Who has the power in terms of the money, resources, knowledge, technology, so on and so on. How they hold on to the same mindset to control others. Okay, let's move on. We are still under scanning external environments. You can see the analysis of societal environment, economic, social, cultural, technological factors, and how these factors will give you an opportunity for the selection of strategic factors, the opportunities and the threats in the exam. Now guys, I'm taking you all back to this picture. These changes, external environmental changes, if you analyze these factors, you will clearly see either it is creating an opportunity for you to grab the business or increase your business or leverage your business, or it could pose a kind of a threat for you to get away, a step back from that business platform. So technically, external environment will tell you whether you have an opportunity or a threat. Your internal analysis, the internal factor analysis will tell you whether you have a threat or a strength. I'm sorry. Strength or weaknesses. Opportunities or threat. So technically we are trying to make a match between these. That's what we say. SWOT analysis. So the internal factors, the analysis of the internal factors will tell you what kind of strengths and the weaknesses that our company has, or our industry has, or our corporation has, against the external threats or the opportunities. So making a match between these two will tell you how to maintain your competitive advantage for your future survival. Let's look at the identifying external strategic factors. Issues priority matrix used to identify and analyze developments in the external environment. External strategic factors, key environmental trends that are judged to have both a medium or high probability of occurrence and a medium to high probability of impact on the corporation. See how they have got that. On the x-axis you can see the probable impact on corporation.